The stars shone bright against the dark void of space as the massive Imperial ship approached Earth. It was 10 times larger than the biggest human spacecraft ever built. Its hull gleamed with a metal not found on Earth, and strange lights pulsed along its sides. Captain Eleanor Wright stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Fleet's flagship, the Liberty. Her hands were steady as she watched the alien vessel on the main screen, but her heart beat fast. This was humanity's first contact with aliens, and they came with warships. "They're broadcasting again," said Communications Officer Paul Hayes. His voice was tense. "Put it through," ordered Eleanor. The screen changed to show a tall, gray-skinned alien with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its voice came through the translator, cold and flat. "People of Earth, I am Ambassador XL Thorne of the Galactic Empire. For 10,000 years, we have ruled the stars. 500 species serve us. You will be the 501st. You have 1 standard galactic week to surrender your world and pledge loyalty to Emperor Jantar. Resistance is pointless. Obedience is your only logical choice." The screen went black. The bridge crew sat in silence. "Did that alien just try to conquer Earth with a phone call?" asked Lieutenant Greg Foster, attempting to break the tension. Eleanor didn't smile. "Contact United Earth Command. They need to see this immediately." 12 hours later, leaders from around the world gathered in the underground bunker beneath Geneva. Military officers, scientists, and government officials argued loudly about what to do. "We must surrender. Look at their technology. They could wipe us out without trying," shouted one general. "Never. Humans don't bow to threats," countered another. Eleanor sat quietly, listening to the debate, when her secure phone buzzed. It was a message from Commander Jack Powell, her best intelligence officer. It read, "Infiltrated scout ship. Critical INFO. Sending data now." She slipped out of the meeting and found a secure terminal. The data from Jack appeared on screen. Technical readouts of Imperial ships, weapons systems, and most importantly, the Imperial command structure. Jack's voice came through in a whisper. "Their technology is advanced, but they haven't innovated in centuries. They rely on their size and reputation. No one has challenged them in over 1,000 years. Their crews are complacent. Their tactics are predictable. And Captain, they've never encountered humans before." Eleanor studied the data. The Empire was vast, with millions of ships and billions of soldiers. But Jack was right. They followed rigid protocols. They expected immediate surrender because that's what always happened. She returned to the meeting room, where United Earth President Maria Alvarez was speaking. "We need more time. Perhaps we can negotiate." "Madam President," Eleanor interrupted, "I have new intelligence. The Empire expects us to surrender because every other species has done so. They don't know what to do if we refuse." "That's suicide," said Defense Secretary Oliver Grant. "Their weapons could turn our cities to ash." "Maybe," said Eleanor. "But Commander Powell's data shows they have weaknesses. Their ships are powerful, but inflexible. Their tactics haven't changed in centuries." She pulled up Jack's data on the main screen. "They've conquered hundreds of worlds without resistance. No one has ever told them no." The room fell silent as everyone considered this. President Alvarez finally spoke. "Are you suggesting we fight the entire Galactic Empire?" Eleanor looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. "I'm suggesting we do what humans have always done when faced with bullies. We stand up to them." Outside the bunker, people around the world went about their daily lives, unaware that humanity's greatest test was about to begin. In orbit, more Imperial ships arrived, their crews certain that Earth would soon join the long list of conquered worlds. They didn't understand that humans were different. Throughout human history, freedom had always been worth fighting for, and no one told humans what they could or couldn't do. Not even a 10,000-year-old empire. The clock was ticking. Earth had 6 days to prepare its answer. 6 days passed quickly. Scientists and military leaders worked without rest, studying the data Commander Jack Powell had stolen. In laboratories around the world, people like Dr. Olivia Martinez tried to understand Imperial technology. Olivia hadn't slept in 3 days. Her lab was filled with pieces of equipment Jack had smuggled out from the Imperial scout ship. She picked up a small metal device and turned it over in her hands. "It's some kind of power source," she told her assistant, Steve Kim. "But it works on principles we've never seen before." Steve looked worried. "Even if we figure it out, we can't build enough weapons in time." "We don't need to match their firepower," Olivia said. "We just need to surprise them." At the United Nations building in New York, world leaders gathered for humanity's official response to the Empire. The Imperial Ambassador, Lord Exarcath, sat on a specially built throne, his 4 eyes blinking slowly as he waited. He expected to hear Earth's surrender. Admiral Frank Bennett approached the podium. He was chosen to speak for all humans. His voice was calm and clear as it echoed through the silent chamber. "To the Galactic Empire and Emperor Jantar, this is Earth's response. No." Lord Exarcath's eyes widened in surprise. Frank continued, "Earth will not surrender. Humans will not serve. We choose to remain free." The ambassador stood up, his gray skin turning darker with anger. "This is madness. You cannot defy the Empire. No one defies the Empire." "We just did," Frank replied simply. Lord Exarcath's voice became cold. "Then you choose extinction. Our warships will turn your cities to dust. Your people will beg for mercy. It will never come." "Perhaps," Frank said, "but as long as one human lives, that human will be free." The ambassador stormed out, his guards following quickly behind him. As his ship lifted off from Earth, people around the world watched on their screens. President Maria Alvarez addressed the people of Earth minutes later. "Citizens of Earth, we have chosen a difficult path. The days ahead will test us like nothing in human history. But we will face this challenge together, as one people, united in our desire to remain free." In orbit, Jack Powell watched through a telescope as the Imperial ships began to move. He used a secure channel to contact Captain Eleanor Wright. "They're forming battle positions," he said. "Looks like they're preparing for a full attack." Eleanor was aboard the Liberty, now joined by hundreds of Earth's ships. It was the largest fleet humans had ever assembled, but it seemed tiny compared to the Imperial forces. "How much time do we have?" she asked. "Maybe 12 hours, Jack replied. "They're methodical. They'll follow their standard invasion protocol." "That's what we're counting on," Eleanor said. "Is your team in position?" Jack looked around at the small group of men and women with him. They had hidden aboard an Imperial supply ship. "We're ready. When their main fleet attacks, we'll disable their communication relay." On Earth, Olivia Martinez finally had a breakthrough. She rushed into the military command center, holding a modified device. "It works," she shouted, showing it to General Dennis Clark. "Their shields operate on a frequency we can disrupt. Not for long, maybe 30 seconds at a time, but it's something." The general immediately ordered the design sent to factories worldwide. "Every ship needs one of these, every soldier too." As the hours passed, humanity prepared. People said goodbye to loved ones. Soldiers checked their weapons. Pilots ran final checks on their ships. In her cabin aboard the Liberty, Eleanor looked at a photo of her family. She didn't know if she would see them again, but she knew why she was fighting. The Imperial deadline passed. Their massive ships began to move toward Earth. The largest invasion fleet the Empire had assembled in 500 years approached the small blue planet. The Empire expected fear. They expected surrender. They had never met humans before. The first shots of the war for Earth were about to be fired. The Imperial ships filled Earth's skies like angry metal clouds. Their weapons glowed with energy as they prepared to attack. On the ground, people looked up in fear. Many ran to shelters. Others stood and watched, knowing human history was about to change forever. Commander Eric Daniels sat in the cockpit of his fighter jet. He had been a pilot for 15 years, but nothing had prepared him for this. His squadron of 30 fighters seemed tiny against the massive alien vessels. "Eagle Squadron, check in," he said into his radio. One by one, his pilots responded. Their voices were steady despite the odds they faced. "Remember the plan," Eric told them. "We don't fight them head-on. We use their size against them. Stay in the clouds, hit fast, and disappear." On the main Imperial battleship, Lord Commander Vex Thal watched the small planet with disgust. "Pathetic creatures," he said to his officers. "They think they can fight the Empire. Begin the attack." Showed no mercy. The Imperial ships fired their weapons. Beams of energy shot toward Earth's cities. But something unexpected happened. The beams hit invisible barriers and scattered. "What is this?" Vex Thal demanded. "Their technology is primitive. They shouldn't have shields." On Earth, Lieutenant Samantha Kelly monitored the global defense network from an underground bunker in Colorado. Screens showed the status of the new shield system built using Olivia Martinez's discovery. "Shields holding at 82%, she reported. "But they won't last forever." "They don't need to," replied General Clark over the radio. "They just need to give our fighters time." High above, Eric Daniels gave the order. "Eagle Squadron, attack pattern Delta. Go." 30 human fighters burst from the clouds, flying in groups of 3. They darted between the much larger Imperial ships, firing weapons at specific points Jack Powell had identified as weak spots. The Imperial ships tried to respond, but they were too slow. Their weapon systems were designed to destroy cities, not small, fast-moving targets. The human fighters were like mosquitoes attacking elephants, small but incredibly annoying, and surprisingly effective. Meanwhile, aboard the Imperial communication relay ship, Jack Powell and his team moved silently through the corridors. They wore stolen Imperial uniforms and kept their heads down. The aliens were too busy with the battle to notice them. "This way," Jack whispered, checking the stolen map. "The main communication hub should be through that door." His team placed small explosive devices at key points throughout the ship. These weren't designed to destroy the vessel but to disable its systems temporarily. Back in the battle, Eric's squadron had destroyed the weapons on 3 Imperial ships, but it had cost them. 8 human fighters were gone, their pilots lost. "Eagle 6, I've got 2 on my tail," shouted a panicked voice over the radio. "Hold on, Eagle 9, Eric responded, turning his fighter sharply. "I'm coming to you." He fired his last missiles at the Imperial fighters chasing his teammate. One exploded, the other veered away. On Earth, the shields were weakening. Some Imperial weapons were getting through, hitting cities and military bases. Buildings fell. Fires burned. But the human spirit didn't break. In London, civilians helped pull people from damaged buildings. In Tokyo, ordinary people formed bucket lines to fight fires. In Rio de Janeiro, bus drivers used their vehicles to evacuate neighborhoods. Humanity faced destruction with courage. Samantha Kelly's voice came over the global command channel. "Shield generators 2 and 5 are down. Eastern Asia and Western Europe are exposed. Redirect power from the southern grid," ordered General Clark. "We need to hold until Powell completes his mission." Aboard the Imperial communication relay, Jack's team reached the central control room. The alien technicians looked up in surprise as the door opened. "Now," Jack shouted. His team threw stun grenades and rushed in. As the battle raged across Earth's skies, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. But for the first time in its 10,000-year history, the Empire faced something it never expected. An enemy that refused to give up. News of the battle for Earth spread across the galaxy. The Empire had never been challenged like this before. Emperor Xantar watched the reports with growing anger from his golden throne on the capital world. "Impossible," he hissed. "These humans dare to resist." His advisors trembled before him. One spoke with a shaking voice. "Great Emperor, it seems our initial force was insufficient." "Then send more," The Emperor shouted. Send the 7th Armada. Send Grand Admiral Cavall. Crush these insects. Across the galaxy, the legendary 7th Armada prepared for battle. Their ships were the largest and most powerful in the Empire. They had never lost a war. Grand Admiral Cavall, a tall alien with skin like blue stone, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Inevitable. Set course for Earth, he ordered. This rebellion ends now. Back on Earth, humans celebrated their first victory. The Imperial fleet had retreated after Jack Powell's team disabled their communications, but the celebration didn't last long. In the United Earth Command Center, President Maria Alvarez met with her top military leaders. Our sensors have detected a massive fleet heading our way, reported Admiral Frank Bennett. Much bigger than the first one. How long do we have? Asked the president. 3 days, maybe 4. Dr. Peter Hoffman, who had been working to unite Earth's nations, stepped forward. We need every country working together now. No holdouts. No separate agendas. Some nations are still refusing to share their resources, the president said. They think they can make separate peace deals with the Empire. Then show them this, Peter said, displaying a video on the main screen. It showed Imperial soldiers on a planet called Sorilia. They were forcing the local aliens to build monuments to the Emperor. Anyone who couldn't work was killed. The Empire doesn't make peace, Peter explained. It only accepts total surrender. Across the world, nations that had fought each other for centuries now work together. Russian scientists worked alongside American engineers. Chinese factories produced parts designed by European companies. African nations provided rare minerals needed for the new weapons. Meanwhile, Captain Kyle Morrison led a small team on a dangerous mission. They had captured a small Imperial shuttle and were heading toward the approaching 7th Armada. Are you sure this will work? Asked Lisa Garcia, the team's communications specialist. No, Kyle admitted, but we need to know what we're facing. Their plan was to infiltrate the Imperial command vessel and steal battle plans. It was almost certainly a suicide mission. Their shuttle approached the massive Imperial fleet. Thousands of warships moved in perfect formation. The humans looked at each other nervously. Imperial Shuttle KX-772, requesting docking clearance, Kyle said in the alien language Jack Powell had taught him. After a tense moment, a voice responded. Clearance granted. Proceed to docking Bay 47. The humans could hardly believe it worked. They guided their shuttle into the enormous flagship of Grand Admiral Cavall. Back on Earth, Commander Eric Daniels visited his injured pilots in a hospital. Half of his squadron had been lost in the battle. We hit them hard, said one pilot from her hospital bed. Did you see the look on those alien faces when their ship started falling? Eric smiled, but his eyes were sad. Rest up. We'll need everyone for round 2. In her laboratory, Olivia Martinez worked frantically to improve her shield disruptor. The first version had worked better than expected, but she knew the Empire would adapt. The frequency modulator needs to be more flexible, she told her team. They'll change their shield harmonics next time. As Earth prepared for the second battle, the stakes were clear to everyone. Humanity had won the first round through surprise and clever tactics, but the Empire was coming back with its full might. Grand Admiral Cavall studied reports of the first battle as his fleet approached Earth. Unlike other Imperial commanders, he didn't underestimate his enemies. These humans are clever, he told his officers, but cleverness will not save them from the full power of the Empire. His fleet would reach Earth in 3 days. On the watery planet of Nebulon 5, the fish-like Merkai people gathered in secret underwater caves. For centuries, they had obeyed the Empire without question. But now, whispers of Earth's resistance had reached even their remote world. The humans fight back, said their leader, an old Merkai with silver scales. They refuse to bow to the Empire. But what can we do? Asked another. We are just one small world. We can start small, the leader replied. The Empire needs fuel from our oceans. If those fuel shipments were delayed, For the first time in hundreds of years, the Mayor began to consider rebellion. Similar conversations happened on dozens of worlds across the galaxy. Earth's defiance had lit a spark that was slowly spreading. Meanwhile, aboard the Imperial flagship, Kyle Morrison and Lisa Garcia moved carefully through the massive ship. They wore stolen Imperial uniforms, but they knew discovery would mean instant death. The main data center should be 2 levels down, Lisa whispered, checking the stolen map. As they turned a corner, they came face to face with an Imperial officer. The alien's 4 eyes widened in recognition. These weren't Imperial soldiers. Kyle acted instantly. He grabbed the alien and pulled him into a nearby empty room. Lisa closed the door behind them. "Please," the alien said in broken English, "not kill." Kyle and Lisa looked at each other in surprise. "You speak our language?" Lisa asked. "Many in Empire study humans now," the alien explained. "After you fight back. Never seen before." "We need information about the fleet," Kyle said, still holding the alien. To their shock, the alien nodded. "I help. Empire killed my family when planet resisted 50 years ago. I never forget." They had found an unexpected ally. Back on Earth, Major Alan Patterson made an important discovery. He was a scientist studying captured Imperial mind control devices. "This is strange," he told his team as they examined the device. "It works on every test subject except humans." They ran more tests, scanning the brains of humans and comparing them to data stolen from Imperial ships about other species. "Our brains are different," Alan realized. "The neural pathways the Empire targets with their mind control. Humans don't have them in the same way." He immediately reported his findings to United Earth Command. This could be a critical advantage. The Empire had used mind control to keep many species obedient for centuries, but it wouldn't work on humans. Across Earth, preparations for the coming battle continued. In space, Commander Ryan Phillips studied the reports from the first battle. He commanded Earth's second-largest ship, the Defiance. "We can't just defend Earth this time," he told his officers. "We need to take the fight to them." "But how?" asked his second-in-command. "Their fleet is huge." Ryan pointed to a map showing the approaching Imperial Armada. "They travel in this tight formation. If we could break through here, we could hit their fuel ships." It was a daring plan, possibly suicidal. But if it worked, it could disable much of the Imperial fleet. On the other side of the world, Ambassador Nicole Rodriguez prepared for a dangerous journey. She had volunteered to make contact with other species who might help Earth. "The shuttle is ready," an aide told her. "But we don't know if you can even breathe the air on these alien worlds." Nicole nodded. "It's a risk we have to take. Earth can't fight alone forever." She carried with her videos of Earth, its oceans, forests, cities, and people. She hoped to show other species that humans were worth saving. In orbit around Mars, Earth had hidden its secret weapon, a fleet of smaller, faster ships built in the days since the first attack. They weren't powerful enough to defeat Imperial battleships, but they weren't meant to. Their purpose was different. As the Seventh Armada entered the solar system, humanity prepared for its greatest test. But they weren't fighting just for Earth anymore. They were fighting for every species that had suffered under the Empire's rule. The spark of rebellion was growing into a flame. The Imperial High Command held an emergency meeting. For the first time in 1,000 years, they faced a true crisis. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Small rebellions were breaking out on dozens of worlds. "This human infection spreads," growled General Dravkor, slamming his fist on the table. "First they resist, now others follow their example." Admiral Zex nodded. "The Merkei have sabotaged 3 fuel depots. The Volians refuse to provide new soldiers. Even the Trill, who have served us loyally for 5,000 years, are asking questions." "Enough," shouted the Emperor's representative. "The humans must be crushed completely. They must become an example of what happens to those who defy us." On the colony world of Proxima Centauri, the first human settlement outside the solar system. Dr. Michelle Cooper worked frantically in her laboratory. Her team had been studying Imperial computer systems captured during the first battle. Their AI network has a vulnerability, she told her assistant. They all use the same base code, unchanged for centuries. Can we exploit it? The assistant asked. Michelle nodded. I've developed a virus that can temporarily disable their systems. Not permanently, but enough to give us an advantage in battle. She looked at the small data device in her hand. But someone would need to upload it directly to their central network hub. The door to her lab opened. Captain Andrew Barnes stood there with a small team of soldiers. That's why we're here, Doctor, he said. We're going to deliver your package. Andrew's team had been preparing for this mission for days. They had a small, fast ship that could slip past Imperial defenses. It was likely a one-way trip, but every volunteer knew what was at stake. Michelle handed the device to Andrew. The virus will spread through their network in minutes, but you'll need to get to their command ship. We'll get it done, Andrew promised. Back on Earth, the 7th Armada had arrived. The sky darkened as thousands of Imperial ships took position around the planet. Grand Admiral Cavall sent a message to Earth. Your resistance amuses the Emperor, his cold voice announced to billions of humans. But now it ends. Surrender immediately or face extinction. In the United Earth Command Center, the leaders of humanity gathered to hear the Empire's final warning. The room was silent after the message ended. What's our response? Asked Admiral Frank Bennett. President Maria Alvarez stood up. The same as before. Earth will not surrender. On the Imperial flagship, Kyle Morrison and Lisa Garcia, with help from their new ally, an alien named Krek, had downloaded critical information about the Imperial fleet. They were making their way back to their shuttle when alarms began to sound. We've been discovered, Lisa said. No, Krek replied, checking a data terminal. It's something else. Your fleet is attacking. Commander Ryan Phillips led the surprise attack. His ship, the Defiance, broke through the Imperial lines, followed by 30 smaller vessels. They weren't aiming for the massive battleships, but for the less protected fuel carriers. Target the fuel ships, Ryan ordered. Fire everything we've got. The human ships fired their weapons. The Imperial fuel carriers, never designed for combat, exploded one after another. The explosions rippled through the tightly packed Imperial formation. On his flagship, Grand Admiral Cavall watched in shock as parts of his fleet burned. Impossible, he shouted. How did they know where to strike? An officer approached nervously. Admiral, we've detected intruders on board. Humans. Cavall's eyes narrowed. Find them. Kill them. Throughout the galaxy, the news spread even faster than before. Humans hadn't just resisted. They were fighting back and winning. On planet after planet, oppressed species began to rise up. Emperor Jantar, for the first time in his 300-year rule, felt fear. He summoned his most trusted advisor. Prepare the planet killer, he ordered. Earth must be destroyed completely. The advisor gasped. But Emperor, the planet killer has only been used twice in our history. The energy cost alone. Do it. The Emperor shouted. I want nothing left of Earth but dust. The greatest weapon in the Imperial arsenal began to power up. The humans had become the first species ever declared a Level 1 threat to Imperial rule. Representatives from 20 alien species gathered in a secret meeting room on the neutral trading world of Xantara. They came in disguise, risking their lives to be there. At the head of the table sat a human, Chief Diplomat Gregory Wilson from Earth. Thank you for coming, Gregory said to the gathered aliens. Each of you represents a world that has suffered under Imperial rule. A tall tree-like alien spoke first. The humans have shown it is possible to fight back. My people, the Arbora, wish to join you. One by one, the other representatives agreed. The Merkei, the Volians, the Trill, and many others, all pledged to stand with Earth against the Empire. Together, we formed the Galactic Freedom Alliance. Gregory announced. United, we can end the Empire's tyranny. It was a historic moment. For the first time in 10,000 years, the species of the galaxy were uniting against their oppressors. Back in the solar system, the battle raged. Captain Andrew Barnes and his team had reached the Imperial Network Hub, a massive space station near Jupiter. Their ship was damaged, their team reduced to half its original size, but they had made it. The central computer core should be on level 12, said Andrew, checking the stolen maps. We need to move fast. Imperial soldiers patrolled the corridors, but the humans used their smaller size and knowledge of the station's layout to avoid them. When they finally reached the computer core, they found it less guarded than expected. They never thought anyone would get this far, Andrew realized as he inserted Dr. Michelle Cooper's virus into the system. A progress bar appeared on his device. 10%, 25%, 50%. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Intruder alert. All soldiers to the computer core. Keep them back. Andrew ordered his team as they took defensive positions. We just need a few more minutes. On Earth, General Linda Collins took command of the combined military forces of the new alliance. Her command center buzzed with activity as reports came in from across the solar system. The Imperial ships are regrouping. An officer reported. They're moving into attack formation. Linda studied the tactical display. The human fleet was outnumbered 10-1, but they had allies now. Ships from the Merkai, the Arbora, and others were arriving, slipping past Imperial blockades to join the fight. Position our forces here and here, Linda ordered, pointing to key areas on the display. We need to protect Earth at all costs. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Benjamin Carter was on a reconnaissance mission when his sensors detected something massive entering the solar system. Command, this is Scout Ship 7, he called urgently. Unknown vessel approaching from Sector 9. It's huge. The object on his screen was like nothing he had ever seen. A ship the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons. At its front was what looked like a massive cannon. Confirmed, came the response from command. That's the Planet Killer, the Empire's ultimate weapon. Benjamin's co-pilot, an alien named Krivosh from the Trill species, looked at the readings with horror. I have heard stories, Krivosh said. It can destroy an entire planet with one shot. We need to get closer, Benjamin decided. Find a weakness, something we can exploit. That's suicide, Krivosh argued. Benjamin nodded. Probably. But it's our only chance. Their small scout ship changed course, heading directly toward the massive Planet Killer. As they got closer, they noticed something strange about its design. Look there, Krivosh pointed. The cooling vents for the main weapon. They're exposed. Benjamin took detailed scans. You're right. And if those vents were blocked or damaged when the weapon fires, the energy would have nowhere to go, Krivosh finished. It would feed back into the ship itself. They had found a weakness, a small one, but it might be enough. They transmitted their findings to Earth just as Imperial fighters spotted them. Here they come, Benjamin said, gripping the controls tightly. On Earth, civilians watched the skies with fear and hope. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, with the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy hanging in the balance. The time for hiding was over. The time for freedom had come. The final battle for Earth began at dawn. The sky filled with thousands of ships from both sides. The Imperial fleet was larger, but the Alliance forces fought with greater determination. They weren't just fighting for conquest. They were fighting for freedom. Commander Diana Lewis led the main Alliance fleet. Her voice was steady as she gave orders to ships from 20 different species. Form defensive lines around Earth, she commanded. The Planet Killer must not get a clear shot at our world. On the Imperial flagship, Grand Admiral Kaval received troubling reports. His ship's systems were failing, affected by the virus Captain Andrew Barnes had uploaded before his team was captured. What is happening? Cavell demanded as screens went dark around him. Some kind of human virus, an officer replied. It's spreading through our network. Cavell's 4 eyes narrowed in anger. Switch to backup systems. Continue the attack. Meanwhile, a small strike team prepared for the most dangerous mission of all. Captain William Harrison led a group of 10 humans and 5 aliens aboard a captured Imperial shuttle. Their target, the flagship of Emperor Jantar himself, who had come to witness Earth's destruction. Remember, William told his team, our goal is to reach the Emperor. If we can capture him, we can end this war. Their shuttle approached the massive Imperial vessel, using codes stolen by Kyle Morrison to gain entry. As they landed in the docking bay, William looked at his team. For Earth and for freedom. The planet killer moved into position, its massive cannon aimed directly at Earth. Inside its control room, Imperial technicians prepared to fire. Main weapon at 85% charge, one reported. Ready to fire in 2 minutes. Lieutenant Benjamin Carter and his co-pilot Krivosh had shared their discovery about the planet killer's weakness. Now, a squadron of small, fast ships approached the massive weapon. Their mission: target the cooling vents before the main cannon could fire. Benjamin led the squadron. Remember the plan, he told his pilots. The vents are small targets. We'll only get one chance. As the Alliance and Imperial fleets battled around them, Benjamin's squadron dove toward the planet killer. Imperial fighters moved to intercept them. They know what we're trying to do, Krivosh warned. Keep going, Benjamin ordered. On Earth, people watched the battle in the sky above them. Children pointed at the flashes of light. Parents held them close. Everyone knew what was at stake. In her lab, Olivia Martinez worked frantically to boost the planet's shields. Just a little more power, she muttered. We just need to hold out a little longer. Aboard the Emperor's flagship, William Harrison's team fought their way through corridors, getting closer to the throne room. Imperial guards fell before them, but the team lost members too. By the time they reached the massive doors to the throne room, only William and 3 others remained. This is it, he said, setting explosive charges on the door. The planet killer's weapon reached full charge. Ready to fire, the technician announced. At that exact moment, Benjamin Carter's squadron reached the cooling vents. Fire missiles now, Benjamin ordered. Dozens of missiles streaked toward the exposed vents. Imperial fighters shot down many, but enough got through. Explosions rocked the massive ship just as it fired its planet-destroying weapon. With nowhere for the excess energy to go, the planet killer's systems overloaded. The great weapon that had destroyed 2 worlds before began to tear itself apart from the inside. On the Emperor's flagship, the doors to the throne room exploded. William Harrison stepped through the smoke, weapon raised, to face Emperor Jantar. The Emperor stood from his golden throne. You dare? In the name of Earth and the Galactic Freedom Alliance, William announced, your reign ends today. Across the solar system, Imperial ships began to retreat as news spread of the planet killer's destruction. The virus had disabled their communications, their weapons were failing, and now their ultimate weapon was gone. As the sun rose the next day on Earth, Admiral Julia Morris, once a junior officer when this all began, addressed the newly formed Galactic Council. Today marks a new beginning, she said, not just for Earth, but for all free peoples of the galaxy. The empire that had ruled for 10,000 years had fallen in less than a year, all because of one species that refused to obey. The humans had changed everything.